Welcome, everyone, to another thrilling live daily success call session. I am John Lavinia, your host with the most, as I'm sure you already know. Actually, some of you are brand new here. One of our new members I just met, Bamadil. Glad you're here. And we get together each day at this time live to talk about business, to talk about entrepreneurship and all things success. So, I was just thinking today, and I think this would be a worthy topic for everyone because I got to meet so many new members. We were just talking, Stephanie and I were just talking just before we went live about the absolute onslaught of new members who have recently joined this whole movement, right? This idea of making money online and creating an e-commerce business. And because I get to talk to a lot of people, I get to see what's going on in the minds and in the lives of people who are just now looking to make that transition from the workaday world, employee mindset, right, into entrepreneurship and really making your mark, right? Reclaiming or rehabilitating some of your own self-determinism and, the idea of being able to reach goals that you yourself determine for yourself. I'll refer to Earl Nightingale, who said, in fact, I'm going to make sure you guys have an opportunity to hear more from this guy. He's no longer around with us, but his recordings certainly are. But Earl Nightingale talked about success, and he said his favorite definition of success, I may have mentioned this yesterday, his favorite definition is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. We're going to park on that here for a minute, and you're going to understand why in just a moment. So let's look at the words. Okay, words are important. Words mean stuff. Okay, so progressive, meaning that we're making progress. Now that we have arrived, and some of you have heard the joys in the journey. Okay, so, but can we see that we're making progress? Okay, progress towards what? Realization, making real. In other words, manifesting something, causing something to occur in your actual experience, okay? Taking it from the realm of thought into the realm of doing and having, right? Here it is where we can see it now, right? So progressive realization of what? Of a worthy, worthy. Worthy of who? Worthy of who? Who's defining success for you? Oh, you are. Hopefully you are. Now, this is a big departure from, let's say, the employee mindset where you're determined by the corporate agenda. You're not so much self-determined, you are outer determined. Steve Covey talked about this in his classic book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So inner determined people or self-determined people, proactive people, right? But there's, again, that word worthy is something that I have to park on for a moment because, for the longest time in my early life, I was taught that I wasn't. This whole idea of worthiness. And I've confronted this many times with people who kind of hold themselves back from playing a bigger game. Because, after all, I was just, little Johnny in the schoolyard. And why can't you be more like, your brother or something? Anybody ever had that trip? Anybody go down that road? Just me, right? Comparing your insides to other people's outsides or having that comparison made for you and the bit of invalidation that comes with that, right? So am I actually worthy? I've actually seen people show up in a very robust business environment like you all just did. And I've seen people hold themselves back because of some idea of unworthiness. Sometimes falsely labeled deservability, which isn't actually a word. The word is actually worthiness, but whatever one works for you, right? Do you deserve to be a success? Great question. Who can answer that question? Well, only you can. So back to our definition, the progressive realization of a worthy what? A worthy ideal. So an ideal, as distinct and different from being an idealist, right? Or an ideologue, okay? But an ideal would be, consider the phrase the ideal scene. So what would be the ideal scene here? Okay, if we survey the scene, we look around and we see we have plenty of money. Oh, are we worthy of that? Right, back to worthy ideal. We see that we have Time freedom. Oh, here's the question for everyone. What are you going to do? Let's say you're actually successful at this. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Let's say you're actually successful at creating the income that you say that you want, right? The reason you signed up here in the first place. Okay. Now what? I mean, if part of that income is to replace or exceed your current job or another business or businesses that you're running now, things that aren't quite bearing fruit to the degree that you would like, hence you reaching higher or looking for other vehicles, right? Now what? Now you got time freedom. What are you going to do? Sit around and watch the grass grow? Is that the ideal scene? Drink coconut drinks? I'll tell you what, I like coconut drinks. They're tasty, but my goodness, that gets boring after a while. Why is it that there are so many, sales pitches online that that include the imagery of, in addition to Lamborghinis and bikini chicks on yachts, but there's always the girl on the beach with the coconut drink? Why is that? Now, look, I've done it, nice, but my goodness, that gets boring quick. I would argue that we're happiest when we're in high integrity action. Yes, that when we're causing something, when we can see that we've had an effect, when we can see that we've accomplished something. Drink your coconut drink. And now let's get back to work. Okay, so imagine for a moment that you actually succeeded. It's not that far-fetched of an idea. I mean, all we got to do is get out of our way and know that we're worthy, and then actually, pull the trigger and do the thing. And guess what? It's very predictable. Very predictable. I mean, look around. Have you seen some of the testimonials, right? And this is not even an embellishment. It's just fact. It's just statistics. Look at the money. Look at the results. Pretty remarkable. All right, so let's say you're having those results now. Can you answer that question? What is the ideal scene? What does it actually look like? Now that you don't have to, this is more employee mindset. Now that you don't have to show up at the job or punch the clock or somehow subscribe to some agenda that you didn't determine for yourself. I mean, you signed up for it when you said you wanted a paycheck. Okay, but I want you to think about that. What does your life look like now that you've actually succeeded? For some people, that's a scary thought because look, our identity is what we already know and what we expect about ourselves. One of the books, not one of the ones that I recommended that you start with, but one of the books that I've studied on and off for the last 30 years is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. This guy was a plastic surgeon, for those who don't know that book, plastic surgeon who discovered that his patients sometimes would have remarkable changes in their self-image after having had corrective surgery or I don't like my nose or whatever, and they get it to their liking and they suddenly have more confidence and all that. But other people, he noticed, couldn't even see the difference. And there could be remarkable physical changes like, oh my goodness, just look, here's the before and after photos. I mean, their friends are telling them, I can't even recognize you. And they're like, oh, I suppose it's different. But in other words, no real change to their self-image or whatever prompted them to want to go seek surgery, in this case, pretty extreme, to correct something. And there were other cases, where it was like an accident or a birth defect or something like that. Corrective surgery was warranted. Okay. But what this doctor said was a lot of these people would come to me with like inferiority complexes or something, and they look fine. Like in some cases above average beauty. Okay. And yet they've got this self-image, which is kind of like running on an autopilot. So the whole idea of psycho-cybernetics is that, psycho or psyche, meaning the spirit and the being themselves, right? The spirit and mind of the person. It comes from the Latin root word psyche, which means spirit. Okay. But it's in modern parlance, it's more about like how people feel and behave. All right. So that also includes the mind. And then cybernetics, what that means is that you've got machinery, like an automaticity, like a servo mechanism, right? That is operating without you even thinking about it. And that will you could set a course, whether you knew you did it or not, you could set a course and the machinery will correct course to make sure you hit the target. Kind of like an autopilot on a plane, right? So think of it like this: you get in a plane, and you're in Los Angeles, and you're going to New York. Okay, so the pilot sets the autopilot, plane takes off, and it's going to New York. Now, most of the time, that plane's off course. Here's the turbulence. Here's the all other influences that impinge upon the plane. But the cybernetic mechanism, in this case, an autopilot, can measure any deviation from the set course and can make corrections so that it reaches the correct target. Okay, even if you were like in the cockpit, you're trying to force the wheel of the plane off course, or the stick, or what's in there. Right? It's a lot of force. Okay, and as soon as you let go, back on course again. Right. So the argument is that it's your self-image that actually makes your choice. It's your beliefs about yourself. It's what Napoleon Hill, in his classic book, Think and Grow Rich, he talked about autosuggestion. In fact, he called it the keystone in the arch of the entire philosophy. Autosuggestion. What is that? That is what we tell ourselves about ourselves all day long, whether we know it or not. Who are you? Right? And what are you worthy of? So these are interesting considerations. So rather than forcing the wheel, maybe we can do a little bit of introspection, and we could say, you know what? The past is not equal to the future. And yes, I may have had the tendency in the past to hold myself back, or to make decisions playing to not lose rather than playing to win, playing a small game, being small. That may have been who I was yesterday, last year, 5 minutes ago, but it's not right now. Right now, as in right now, in this exact moment, I make a new decision, and I set that autopilot to a different destination. So what is the ideal? And understand, we can't be vague about this. That doesn't mean we need to know how to reach it. Okay, nobody knows how to reach a goal until they've reached it, right? My crystal ball has been on back order for a long time. So like, now what, right? We just got to decide what we want. Probably the most profound question that you could ask yourself, and I'll ask you right now, and this won't be the first time, or this won't be the only time. But what do you want? Not what do you think you can accomplish based on yesterday's performance. That's irrelevant. And certainly, we've got a past, we've got a memory. Okay, we've won, we've lost, we've done it all. Okay, whatever you've done up to this point. What I'm suggesting is you get a forgettery to go along with your memory. Let's go ahead and hit that reset button. Let's start with a blank piece of paper. And let's just decide, okay, here's the ideal scene. And let's map it out. Here's the perfect day. How does it start? Oh, well, it starts with some quiet time, right? I hear the birds chirping. I live in the location of my choosing, because I can work from anywhere, right? I mean, do I have to be here or there? I can be wherever I want. That's nice, right? I've got, if you're married, right? Here's my spouse, my kids, right? Write it out. What are you doing? Are you going on a field trip with the kids? Do you homeschool? Are you, are you looking at additional properties, investments? What about that cause that is important to you, that you'd like to, flow some money in that direction? I mean, you haven't made it your life's purpose to go, do the volunteer work or the active work or whatever it is, but other people have, and you can fund the cause, right? I've wrestled with that one from time to time, right? Because I've got lots of things that I'm interested in, seeing improved in the world and everything. And yet these are things that are outside of my circle of influence at the moment. They're in my circle of concern, which is bigger than my circle of influence, referring to Steve Covey again, for anyone who's read his book. But these other people, it is in their circle of influence. Let me support those people so they can go and have an effect, right? Right now, I can have an effect here in this circle of influence. They can have an effect out in my circle of concern because it is their circle of influence. And so the better I get and the more competent I become, and therefore the more money I earn here in this circle, the more I can have an effect outside of that circle, indirectly. So what is the ideal scene? And then you look at that, you write it all out. And then I guess you just have to ask yourself, am I worthy of this? Is there something that would cause you to say no, that you're not? Okay, well, maybe go to confession or something, but look, there's there's people with like less intelligence and aptitude than many people here who are making a pile of money on the internet. So it's not just a question of intelligence. And you may be saying, yeah, John, it's easy for you to say you got 147 IQ, you're a freaking genius, yada, yada. You've already made millions. Okay, got it. That's also part of the story. See right there, that separation, that thinking, oh, this person's special because they've got some specific talent or attribute or something that I don't recognize in myself. Well, guess what? I could say the same thing. I could say I can compare my insides to other people's outsides all day long and sit there in a state of comparison and essentially self-invalidation. So we got to get over ourselves. I hope this is resonating with you, or hopefully with all of you, but at least with some of you, this idea that you are so able. In fact, I wrote about this in my first book. It's like a giant, drowning in 3 feet of water. All you got to do is stand up. You just got to know that you're worthy. So in my case, there was some introspection needed on that. We hear the saying sometimes life is not as it truly is, but as you are, right? We experience life through our filters. We experience business. We experience opportunities through filters. Do you know that there are people who, imagine this, they saw the opportunity to work with Rachel in this group and to get into e-commerce and do it in a very low-hanging fruit, easy onboarding, that whole opportunity. They confronted that same opportunity that you confronted. And you know what they thought? There's no way I could do this. Or there's no way this is real. Or it's too good to be true. Or it's a scam. Or whatever the story is. Same exact data. Here's the data, right? Here it is. Completely different perspectives upon that data. And that's why I often say that more important than what you do is who's doing it. My phone's going bing bong, bing bong. Let me put this on do not disturb mode. Do not disturb. Hooray. Okay, good. So, so there's my my thoughts for you today. I'm thinking that that everyone here, if we just really make a decision, like really make a decision about who we are and what we're capable of, it's a whole different experience. Oh my goodness. And sometimes that's going to require that you just let go a little bit of, in some cases, I'll speak for myself, in some cases, my most cherished beliefs that I was sold by the other guy or, previous generations of ignorant but well-meaning people, who the purpose of the herd is to keep you in the herd, in case you didn't know that, right? I left the herd. And so you may have to leave the herd a little bit. That doesn't mean, that you don't show up at family reunions or whatever. You just don't go as often and don't stay as long. If people are antagonistic towards your purposes, if people have some cause to want to hold you back because, like crabs in a bucket, you guys know the crabs in the bucket story. So you put one crab in the bucket, it crawls right out. You put 2 or more crabs in the bucket, and they pull each other back in. You don't even need to put a lid on it anymore. How do I know that? I grew up on the New Jersey shore. We used to catch crabs out of the Barnegat Bay. Yeah. So just don't let them bite you. You got to grab them by the rear leg with the one with the little fin on it, and then the claw can't reach you. So those claws are sharp too. Anyway, I love you guys. Glad you're here. I'd love to open it up for Q&A. We have an intimate crowd here today. I see Ada, I see Asia. Hi, Asia. And I do know your name. Danielle. Hey, Gail's here. Gail is awesome. Gail is she's lovely, in fact. Let me say that correctly. Lovely Gail. She's one of our amazing accountability reps. Kim's here. Mandy, Marjorie, Marty. Good to see you all. All right. Tamisha, hello. I see you, Tamisha.
Hi, I have a question.
Please.
If that's okay. What book would you recommend reading right now to overcome any self-doubt or limiting beliefs? I would love to hear any recommendation.
Okay, so start with the 5 books that I recommended you get. So start with Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod and any one other of your choice. And based on your question, I might say The Power of Consistency by Weldon Long. Just look at the cover and see if you're getting the vibe from it. If not, then maybe Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Either one of those could be a direct hit. Okay. Keep in mind too. Thank you. Great question, Tamisha. Keep in mind that there's no new truth, right? So the reason I recommend reading from multiple authors and doing that contemporaneously, right? So I read a couple of chapters here, I read a couple of chapters there. The reason we do that is because we get multiple perspectives on the same truth. There is no new truth, right? So like you could read my book, Integrity is Everything, and you could say, oh my goodness, wow, I never heard it exactly that way, right? And so it's actually one of the reasons I'm here with you all, Tamisha. The administrative staff, they were like, we've got this community growing here who, is able to bring like some perspectives that would really, help people blast this thing off. And I'm not, bragging or anything like that. Hopefully it doesn't seem that way. But people know what I've done. I've helped people make a lot of money by essentially doing what we're doing here. We're discussing, did I talk at all about e-commerce tactics or anything here with you today? No, you've got all that in the course material, right? Everybody's got that. Okay. But who's the everybody? That's the question. Who's the everybody? I will say this also, and Tamisha, once you get through, all of you, once you get through the accelerator process, we're going to do a business launch strategy session, and it's going to rock your world. It is like really, really powerful stuff that is reserved for people who get through the whole process. But I'm going to show you exactly the philosophies that I applied to go from working 80 hours a week and being miserable to having made millions. And it works every single time. Okay. So I'm not an e-commerce expert. You guys are e-commerce experts, or you're going to be, right? I'm like the town philosopher around here. Who else? I heard somebody else make a sound. Was that Asiya?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How are you? I see you, but I don't hear
great.
you. Or I hear you, but I don't see you.
Yeah, I'm mumming. I was wondering when that is going to be, I forget what you called it, but the strategy session.
Mm-hmm.
When is that? How long is the accelerator, and when are we going to have that?
Who's your accountability rep?
Gail, the lovely Gail.
The lovely Gail. She's here. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Gail. We got to get Asiya on track here. Let's get it cracking.
Yeah, Gail is amazing.
She's good. Okay, it should be even more amazing when she gets you into the accelerator, which is about a week and a half process. And you'll see it builds upon itself. And there's also, Asiya, there's remember when we talked, was it yesterday we first met in your welcome session? We talked about I think we did, like creating a bit of a balance between taking information in and putting out work, like inflow, outflow, theory, practical. Did we talk about that?
I don't think we did.
Okay, so let's talk about it right now. So one of the things that some people experience, not in this environment, but in many other environments, is information overload. Being overwhelmed is not the goal, is not the product that we're looking for here. You making piles of money online, you making a spectacle of yourself, that's the product we're looking to create. Okay, great. So to do that, we must not be overwhelmed or buried under with unused, unapplied theory. So as you go through this process, while simultaneously you're learning, e-commerce stuff, okay, you're going to go through the accelerator process. Each step has both the content that you'll consume, right? You'll take that in, watch the video. Okay, nice. They're short, 5-6 minutes, whatever. But it will also have the questions down below that will prompt thought on the part of you. And now you get to speak, right? And we listen, by the way. Gail will be listening. I will be listening. And anything you write, we're going to read it. Okay. So you have a chance to ask questions and everything else. So we're balancing the flows here, right? Just like breathing. You breathe in, you breathe out. You can't just breathe in, right? And yet that's what a lot of people try to do. They're consumers, right? Back to the idea. Thank you, Asiya. You just pressed my button. Okay, so back to the idea of employee versus entrepreneur mindset. There's an enormous difference between those two mindsets. Just like we could say there's an enormous difference between the mindset of the consumer versus that of the producer. One is inflowing, the other is outflowing. We've got to balance those flows. All right. This, I know we might be going down a bit. This is not, the gospel according to John or anything. This is just observe life. And you'll see it's law. Like, you can't break the law, make yourself against the law. You just can't break the law. The law is you got to balance those flows. So now most people, of course, don't do that. Most people are consumers. They're sitting on, YouTube right now, consuming, or Facebook or whatever, right? They're not producing anything. The late Jim Rohn said, if you want to increase your income, increase your value to the marketplace. What is that? Is that an inflow or an outflow? That is an outflow
Yeah.
to the marketplace. Yeah. Anyway, I'm really glad you're here. Asia's got a newborn. So glad
Well,
you're
she's
here.
like 1 year old
with
by
your
now,
family. All new enough. Yeah. Very good.
Thank you, John. That was
Yeah.
helpful.
My pleasure, my friend. Marjorie, you got an open mic. What's up, Marjorie?
I wanted to know, how do we get in touch with our, I can't remember what, our helper. I'm
You're
trying
a
to think of
helper.
Diana. How will I get
Yeah.
in touch? What's the best way?
Gail, can you send out a welcome package, fruit basket, something, get Diana on the case?
Okay.
Yeah.
I've had her emails to me, but I just don't want to, be shooting in the dark, sending emails and it's like, it's not going anywhere.
Okay, well, I'm glad Gail is here, lovely Gail, because she is taking notes on all this, and she's going to bring that back to headquarters and sound the alarm. So we're going to get that fixed up for you, Marjorie. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a horde of people, and we broke the system, basically. So we got a couple people floating out in space. We got to send out shuttles, and they're on the way. Okay, so glad you're here, my friend. Right.
That's a big help.
All right.
All right.
Oh, my pleasure. So glad you're here. Anybody else today? Thoughts, questions, comments, ideas? Are we done? Going once, going twice. Done. All right. I will see you all back here tomorrow with bells on. Get excited, because who knows what we're going to talk about. Something good, hopefully. All right. I'll see you.